You begin lying down, just allowing your body to be comfortable to begin with. I have today picked a card for the practice as well, this time from the Namaste deck. It shows fish at the bottom, a woman with a heart in the center of her chest, and she's also the trunk of a tree, and her arms are branches and there's leaves. I will show it to you at the end if you're interested. The card says, the blessing of endless possibility. Allow your inner child to be the master for a while, and don't take things too serious. Have fun and explore the world of endless possibility. Something beautiful is created through imagination and innocence. This might be a nice idea to incorporate into your practice this morning. As most of you are quite new to the core practice as well, I started in a similar fashion each time. That is by breathing. And by breathing in a way that you're starting to slowly activate your core. Please take care of yourself in this practice, especially in the first part of it, where movements might be too many, where something might be a little bit strong. Please feel free to take pauses whenever you need them. Acknowledging the body in this practice as you start to breathe more deeply. Allowing the breath to find its way to full yogic breathing. As you allow your belly to rise first, the lower ribs to expand, and then taking the breath up to your collarbones. And when breathing out, let your belly fall, the ribs come in, the upper chest releasing. Let each breath flow like this for a little while, doing nothing else quite yet. Just finding a pattern of breathing that suits you. Noticing the length of inhalation and exhalation, the movement of the physical body. And as you keep the breath flowing, just as you have established it right now, allowing your pelvic floor, Mula Bandha, to switch on. So on the next exhalation, draw the skin underneath your navel, down through the body towards the tailbone. There's a few more muscles engaged in just the pelvic floor. And when you're breathing in, you release that again into full yogic breath. And when exhaling again, draw the skin underneath your navel, through the body towards your tailbone. And then inhaling again, expanding belly, ribs to collarbones. Stay with the breath like this now, engaging Mula Bandha. If this feels good for you, you can extend Mula Bandha. You can extend it to a place where you're drawing your navel in towards the front of the spine and maybe even the sides of the waist. When breathing in, releasing again. And then repeating, always start with the skin underneath the navel towards the tailbone and squeezing in. Maybe doing a little bit more now. Now, I invite you to use this breath throughout the practice. As we begin with gentle movements at first, we'll take a deep breath in and reaching the arms out and up and over the head. Draw a big circle onto the floor and then stretch the arms out long, stretch down into your toes. And while you're breathing out, circle the arms back down by the sides. Stepping your feet down onto the mat. We begin our practice with a back release. So allow your feet and your knees to be touching. To interlace your hands loosely behind the back, the head, opening the elbows out towards the sides. Now keeping your feet, your knees touching, and let your knees rock from side to side, which does mean that one foot completely comes off the floor. So you're squeezing your knees together as if you had a whole lot of cash money notes in between the knees. Now this movement is still quite gentle. It's for the lower back. And I ask you from here to take the knees, the feet off the floor and the knees up over your hips. Lifting your feet while flexing your ankles so that the knees stay over the hips. And when you're looking over your knees, you can just about see your toes. Now squeeze your knees really tightly and do the same movement again. Keep the knees touching as you move them to one side and then to the center and to the other side. So the movement here might not be very fast, keeping your setup. So each time you're coming over your hips, you're noticing, are your toes still visible behind the knees? Are your knees still over the hips? Now we're targeting with this movement the mid-back. From this place, then bring your knees a bit closer in towards your chest and allow your feet to lower towards the buttocks. Keep your knees now squeezing. And I ask you now to take your knees over to one side and tuck them up towards the shoulder. While you breathe in, let them loose and then tuck them up towards the other shoulder. And keep going here for a little while. Give them that little tuck up towards the shoulder and keep your knees deeply touching. Few more like this. And then when you're next in balance, release your feet down to the ground. Separate them a little bit so they're coming about hip distance onto the mat. Keep them fairly close towards your buttocks. Release your arms. We're going into a bridge just to release the spine even more. As you breathe in, tilt the pelvis, and when you're breathing out, squeeze your buttocks and lift your hips up, reaching your arms up over your head. Give a good squeeze into the buttocks, reach up towards your fingers, and then slowly rolling back down onto the floor, arms releasing again by your side. If anyone still has me on a small screen, you can go to the top right corner of yours. There is a gallery view and there is a speaker view. And if you put it on speaker view, you should see me quite clearly. Extending your legs from here towards the ceiling. Stretch them both up. Start to flex through the feet and really encourage the heels up towards the ceiling. And then start to circle your feet for a moment. Circle them in one direction and then into the other. Our next movement will be from here. If you have lower back problems, you might not go very far, and that is perfectly fine. Let's take a breath in and lift the arms up and above the head. Let them land onto the floor. Now make fists as you bring your thumb into the palm of the hand and wrap all the other fingers around. The thumb into the palm and the other fingers around. Arms stay extended right over the head. If you've got the space, keep them long. Now flex your feet. And as you breathe out, use your core breaths. So Mula Bandha, core on. And lower your right leg down slowly. Maybe just above the floor. Maybe less. Please listen to your lower back as you inhale. Lift the leg again. And when breathing out, repeat with your left leg. Slowly lower. On the in-breath, lifting it up. On your out breath, lower the other. So keep going for a little while. Like walking stiff in the air. Each breath out, you're using your core to support your lower back. Each breath in, you're lifting the leg. Go for 2 more steps with each leg. And once you've completed those, pause for a moment by giving your knees a loving hug towards the chest and allow yourself to rock from side to side. We will repeat this movement, and I will ask you to really listen in. The same setup, thumbs into the palm of the hand, fingers wrapped around, and your arms extended over the head. Keep them long and straight if available space. Extending the legs up to the ceiling and flexing your feet once more. I'll ask you now to do this quite fast. However, please remember to switch your core on, your Mula Bandha, as you're lowering the leg down. If you find this is too fast, simply slow it down or do it in the same pace we did before. So out breath, lower, in breath up. Don't forget your breath, as if you're throwing a leg down towards the floor when you're breathing out. Trying to avoid touching the ground. Maybe again going for 2 more on each side. Then give the knees another hug. Maybe you enjoy rocking from side to side. Or you might take a breath in and a breath out, then to tuck your nose towards your knees. Before releasing again onto your back. I invite you to step the feet back down at hip distance onto the floor for a release of the hip flexors and to create some openness before we move into the next movement or practice. We'll go back into bridge. So as you inhale, tilt your pelvis. And on the out breath, squeeze your buttocks and start to reach your arms up over the head. Push into the floor, squeeze into your bottom, and hold here. Have another deep breath. And on the out breath, then slowly lowering down onto the mat, releasing your whole body down. We still stay lying down, but please take your strap now. Take your strap. It is rather open, so if your buckle is closed, you might want to open it up. Take the strap over your body, extended arms. I have mine a little bit wider in a hold than shoulder distance, and you will be able to adjust that at any time. So what we will do, and you might want to have a look at first, is to lift the knees, bring the feet under and back. If you want something extra, you can always extend the legs, lift, stretch, lift. Your choice. See if you can do these for a few rounds. The knees bend and your feet trying to get underneath the strap to extend the legs over the body. It will be quite a fast movement. It's more of a rocking, your hips are lifting up, your feet are coming through underneath the strap. So I can see some of you being very successful with the movement. Attempting is fine too. This is quite strong. Do a few more. The leg extension away from the body is not necessary. It's just a little bonus. And if you ever get stuck in your strap, just have a good giggle with yourself. I can't hear you. Maybe someone in the house then knows that you're having some fun. See if you can add another 2 before you're placing your strap to the side. Taking a deep, full breath in through the nose and have a sigh out of the mouth. If you like, you can add a full body stretch as you take a breath in to extend your arms, to extend your legs. And then give the knees another hug in towards the chest, and this time just start rocking forward and back. It's also a nice core strengthening movement as you're rocking. Coming all the way up into sitting with your next rocking movement. I think we're quite warm by now, so if you like to take a layer off, we still get going for a little bit longer with the strengthening part. I'd ask you to come into a standing position. We will attempt a sun salutation just to complete a warm-up of the body. As you come to stand with your feet either at hip distance or big toes touching towards the front of the mat, taking a breath in, lifting your arms, lifting your gaze. On your out breath, draw your hand through the midline and fold forward. On your in breath, lengthen the spine to the front half lift. On your out breath now, step your right foot back into a lunge. If you like to go a little bit stronger, knee on or off the mat, reaching your arms forward. If the knee's off the floor, push back out into the heel of the back foot. Let your hands lower to the floor. Step the other foot back into downward facing dog. As you breathe in, roll your spine forward into a plank. So you're coming in a big way forward. Pause in your plank. We're working on our core after all. See if you can lift out in between the shoulder blades. You might then bring your knees down if you need the support. And on the exhalation, lower down onto the mat. As you breathe in, lift your head and chest, maybe even an upward facing dog. And when breathing out over knees or toes, come into downward facing dog. Inhaling now, right leg extends up and back. Out breath, knee to your nose. Stepping the foot forward between the hands. Knee on or off the mat, your choice. Maybe an extension of the arms reaching forward, extending over towards the fingertips, front of the mat. Lifting the back foot off the floor, extend this into warrior 3. Land your feet parallel, Hasta as you take a breath in, lifting the arms. And on your out breath, bring your hands down in front of the chest. One more round. Take a breath in, circle the arms out and up, maybe lifting the gaze. On your out breath, fold, hands coming through the midline. Inhaling to a half lift. Exhaling, stepping your left foot back into a lunge. This time, see if you can twist, lifting the right arm up. Turning towards your knee. And maybe becoming light in the fingertips on the floor. Don't forget to use your inner strength. Then swing your arm down, hand down, step back, downward facing dog. Same here, wave comes forward as you're breathing in, wave all the way into a plank. Take a smile in this plank. Bring your knees down whenever you need to. And as you're exhaling, lower down onto the floor. Come to lie down on the front of the body for a moment. I will turn my body sideways so you can see in case it's not clear. Extending the arms out long in front of you. Let's start with an in-breath, lifting your left leg, your right arm, your head and your chest. And release. In-breath, lift the opposite side, head and chest coming along. And release. Keep going like this. Find your own breath. Inhaling, lifting. Exhaling, releasing. In breath, lift. Out breath, release. Keep flowing in this way for a few more breaths, finding your own breath, your own pattern of breathing. Maybe practicing 2 more in each variation on each side. And once you have completed these 2, come to rest. You might want to bend your elbows out towards the sides and maybe even turn your favorite ear towards the mat. If you feel there's something going on around your back and your hips, you might sway the hips gently. Different variations now to return into a downward facing dog. You can simply choose to come over your knees or whatever you used to, or you place your hands down by your sides. You're tucking your toes under and extending into the legs. Switching the core on and push your body off the mat into a plank. From there, then lifting your hips up and back into downward facing dog. As you're here, take a breath in and lift your left leg. On your out breath, bring your knee and nose together underneath. Stepping the foot forward in between your hands. As you breathe in, you might lift your left arm, twisting towards your leg. Coming up onto the fingertips. And then swing your arm down. Step the foot forward. Take a breath in for a half lift. And as you're breathing out, fold. On your next exhalation, using the core, rolling up into standing. And while you're breathing in, let's lift the arms up and above the head. Keep them there, pointing now your right big toe behind. And as you're breathing out, lean forward, warrior three. Coming into the balance of our warrior poses. Stepping the foot back into a lunge, hands to the mat. Take your knees down for a moment. As your hands and your knees are on the floor, bring your forearms to the mat. Keep your elbows about shoulder distance apart. Quite comfortable. Make sure that you're lifting up in between the shoulder blades instead of hanging in between them. You can keep your knees down for a diabolo movement, which is basically to let your hips roll to one side and lift them back up. Roll them to the other and lift them back up. You can choose to do so for a few breaths. If you feel this is nice, but you want to go stronger, tuck your toes under. Come into a full forearm plank. Your hips, in this case, as well as your feet, have the same distance. And you would roll over inner outer edge of the foot as you lower your hip to one side. Roll to the toes, to the other side, and dropping here. And you might repeat that a few more times. Keep your plank and just rolling your hips. Whether you're on your toes or on your knees, doesn't matter. I suggest maybe once more to each side if it feels good. And then finding a stretch back into a full child's pose once you've completed your rounds. Arms along the side of the body so the shoulders can fall forward, your whole body relaxing. I would love you to check back in with your breaths. How's it going? How's your breath feeling, your heart rate? Is your mind now slowly starting to wander off again? Take it back into this practice. And I ask you from here to slide the body forward, bring it out long onto the mat again. Once more, extending the arms out towards the front of the mat. And either now repeating, lifting the opposite sides, or taking a breath in and lifting on both ends. So please make your choice depending on how this feels in your body. If you like, you can lift your legs and your arms and your head and your chest. And if you want to hold here, you might even start pedaling into both. Arms moving, legs moving. Otherwise, lifting opposite sides with the in-breath and out-breath to release. Especially if you're paddling right now, make sure you're not overdoing it. So finding your own way of moving One more until you're in balance, and then retreating onto a relaxed position, changing the ear that you have on the mat and observing yourself. Checking in with the breath. Slowing your breathing down and deepening your breath again. We'll come into one more downward facing dog. From here, you have your choices. You want to go strong, place your hands down by the sides of the body, toes tucked under, extending out into the legs, switching the core on and pushing yourself up from a plank into a downward facing dog. And you might choose to walk this down dog out and swing your hips. We will take a balance before coming to the floor while you walk your feet forward between your hands. Soften down into a standing forward bend. Allow your knees to be soft, the head to hang, the arms to relax. Let your weight sit lightly forward within your feet. On your next out breath, start rolling up slowly into standing. Stepping your feet quite wide apart, preparing for a triangle. One toes, and I'm starting here with my right foot facing forward, the left foot facing outwards, or in an angle if you prefer. On your in-breath, lift your arms out. Spread out into the fingers, let your shoulders be relaxed. And when you're exhaling, reach with your right hand towards the floor, with your left hand towards the ceiling. Find your strength within this triangle. Now, while you bend your front knee, let your top hand come into the side of the waist. Keep the openness of your shoulder though. Keep the reach of your right hand fingertips towards the floor, shifting the weight there. And see if you can lift up into a half moon. Maybe extending both arms again. And then release. Release into another standing forward bend. Just allowing the body to melt forward. Knees can be soft. More important to relax shoulders and neck down. And on your next out breath, curling back up into standing. Lift and roll your shoulders back before you're changing sides. Pointing the left foot forward this time. As you find the wider stance, toes to the front, the other foot might be completely turned out or in a slight angle, your preference. Take a breath in, lifting the arms up. Spread out into the fingers, arms wide to shoulder height. And on the next out breath, then reach with your left hand fingertips down, with the right hand fingertips upwards. Finding your triangle. Once you found your triangle pose, feel the balance in the feet. Let your upper hand come into the side of the waist. While you're changing nothing else, the shoulders still open. Begin to bend into the front knee, which is your left one. Keep your left hand fingertips pointing down and take the right foot off the floor as you're extending into half moon. See if you can keep your body facing sideways in this transition, enjoying all the wobbles that come along with it, and maybe extending then the arm when you find balance, or if you do. Once again, please finish that inner standing forward bend as you bring your feet parallel and fold down. On your next inhalation, take a half lift. And as you're breathing out, come to sit. I've positioned myself sideways. We're almost there. There's another movement here before you get to tune into a more mindfulness practice. I'd ask you to sit ready for a boat. So the hands might be lightly behind, but we're leaning the spine backwards a bit, so to sit in between the sit bones. This is in stages, so please choose your stage. It might be just perfect as it is right now, or you might be able to lift your feet off the floor. If you're able to do so, you might choose to hold here, or you start to cycle your legs. If you feel comfortable cycling, you might even interlace your hands behind your head. And slowly release. Release by bringing the soles of the feet together, embracing your toes. And as you inhale, lengthen the body forward. And while breathing out, sway from side to side to find your place, lowering your nose towards your toes. Slow, deep breathing again. We will transition from here into a meditation. So once your breath has slowed down enough, I encourage you to put your clothing back on unless you've got the heater going. So as we come into a more still practice, you might choose a jumper, your socks back on, and finding a comfortable seat, whatever that means for you. You might have a bolster with you, a cushion. You could even choose to lean against the wall if you prefer. So there's nothing here that you need to do other than becoming very comfortable. Allow your time to get there. Once you've found a comfortable seated position, I suggest you rest your hands down for now, to close your eyes. And before you come into perfect stillness, please do take the time to turn your head, to move your shoulders. We've done a little bit of work on the upper back, and there might be a little bit of tension in there that you feel needs to be released. When you then found your position, I will invite you into Pala Mudra. For Pala Mudra, you will have your left hand facing upwards in front of you, resting it down around your navel. Then bring the right hand on top, not touching, just cupping. So basically your hands look like this. I know some of us will know this from the advertising. As we're holding them fairly close, right down in front of the solar plexus area. Letting the shoulders soften, the elbows relax as much as you can. So I encourage you to hold this mudra for a meditation practice. If you feel there's too much tension involved in the mudra after a while, feel free to rest the hands and visualize the rest of the practice. So there's never a force into being uncomfortable. I've chosen this mudra and I've practiced with it for many times to release or work with anxiety. And we might have a lot of that coming up at the moment. As you hold Pala Mudra, take several natural breaths to attune to all the feelings and sensations evoked by this gesture. Notice how your breath is gently directed into your abdomen, instilling a sense of comfort and ease, as if entering your own inner sanctuary of tranquility. Take some time to rest within this inner sanctuary, simply following the rhythmic rise and fall of your abdominal breathing, allowing you to relax completely. To relax even more deeply, you will invite each area of your body into your inner sanctuary. Begin by inviting your legs and feet into your sanctuary of tranquility. Taking several breaths to allow these areas to relax completely. Now allow your pelvis, abdomen, and low back into your sanctuary. Taking some time to sense these areas gently expanding and relaxing in synchrony with your soft, rhythmic breathing. For the next few breaths, allow your chest and upper back to be bathed in absolute tranquility, naturally experiencing greater lightness and ease throughout these areas of your body. Now invite your shoulders, arms, hands, and fingers into your sanctuary. allowing them to relax completely. Your neck and head now enter and rest within your sanctuary of tranquility, allowing your eyes, ears, mouth, and jaw to soften and relax completely. Now allow your entire being to rest within your inner sanctuary, taking several breaths to experience absolute tranquility. Affirm your complete peace as you might repeat the following 3 times aloud or silently after me. Resting within my inner sanctuary, I experience absolute tranquility. Resting within my inner sanctuary, I experience absolute tranquility. Resting within my inner sanctuary, I experience absolute tranquility. Slowly release the gesture, taking several breaths to experience complete rest. You might choose to open the eyes, but I am transitioning you now to lie down in Shavasana pose. So if you feel you don't need to, as you're in your usual space, just make your way down onto your back. There is no other rule here than being comfortable. So if you need like cushioning under the head or under the knees, if you would like to cover yourself with a blanket or support yourself in different ways, please do so. Instead of coming into complete stillness, I will invite you to release and tense muscle groups. You can have your eyes closed or your gaze steady. Begin by taking a deep breath and noticing the feeling of air filling your lungs. Hold your breath for a few seconds before you release the breath slowly and let the tension leave your body. Take in another deep breath and hold it. And again, slowly release the air. Even slower now, take another breath. Fill your lungs and hold the air. Slowly release the breath and imagine the feeling of tension leaving your body. Now move your attention to your feet. Begin to tense your feet by curling your toes and the arch of your foot. Hold onto the tension and notice what it feels like. Release the tension in your foot, noticing the feeling of relaxation. Next, begin to focus on your legs. Tense the muscles in your calves. Hold them tightly and pay attention to the feeling of tension. Release the tension from your legs. Again, notice the feeling of relaxation. Remember to continue taking deep breaths. Next, tense the muscles of your upper leg and pelvis. You can do this by tightly squeezing your thighs together. Make sure you feel tenseness without going to the point of strain. And release. Feel the tension leave your muscles. Begin to tense your stomach and your chest. You can do this by sucking your stomach in, squeeze hard and hold the tension a little bit longer. Release the tension, allow your body to go limp. Let yourself notice the feeling of relaxation. Continue taking deep breaths. Breathe in slowly. Notice the air filling your lungs and hold it. Release the air slowly. Feel it leaving your lungs. Next, tense the muscles in your back by bringing your shoulders together behind you. Hold them tightly. Tense them as hard as you can without straining, and keep holding. Release the tension from your back. Feel the tension slowly leaving your body and the new feeling of relaxation. Notice how different your body feels when you allow it to relax. Tense your arms all the way from your hands to your shoulders. Make a fist and squeeze all the way up to your arm. Hold it. Release the tension from your arms and shoulders. Notice the feeling of relaxation in your fingers, hands, arms, and shoulders. Notice how your arms feel limp and at ease. Move up to your neck and your head. Tense your face and your neck by distorting the muscles around your eyes and your mouth. Release the tension. Again, notice the new feeling of relaxation. Finally, tense your entire body. Tense your feet, legs, stomach, chest, arms, head, neck. Tense harder without straining. Hold the tension. Now release. Allow your whole body to go limp. Pay attention to the feeling of relaxation and how different it is from the feeling of tension. Now aim to keep your whole body in stillness, just for a little bit longer. Coming into Shavasana, where your mind might follow the breath. Notice if the mind was still present with your breathing or if it has wandered. Noticing the state of the physical body resting on the floor. Start to deepen your breathing again. You might choose to reintroduce some movements, stretches. Taking yourself back up into a seated position. Once more, closing the eyes. Bringing the palms of the hands to touch in front of the chest and taking a moment to tap in. Maybe there is still this peaceful, tranquil space that we can hold within us. And from this space, we're extending towards each other. Namaste.